Hello everyone, welcome back to F1 23 Breaking Point 2. Back again with another episode, continuing on from the previous episode. If you guys remember, Cali Mayer, we clinched the F2 Championship, absolute nail-biter of a finish with the last race in Abu Dhabi. So that was pretty awesome, that was pretty exciting. And then of course, continuing on with the woes of Aiden Jackson in Connor Sport and his his issues of frustrations, his experiencing with the team, and a lot of in team tension, particularly with the not too subtle aid of Davido Butler, Devon's dad, which incidentally, that is who we are playing as in this part. So if you guys remember last part when we finished off, we had switched over to playing as Devon Butler. So this is going to be really interesting. Let's have a look at the news, see what journalists have to say about what's happening. Well, I believe we're at the Bahrain Grand Prix, if I remember correctly. Trackside chats with Casper Ackerman. Oh, that's right. Oh, also forgot to mention the twist from the previous episode. Casper leaving his role as mentor to Cali Mayer, and absolute bombshell, he joins Connor Sport as the new team principal. So Andrea stepped to the side. He's basically spread thin in his own words, and Casper came in, and it sort of put a cork in what I believe Aiden was going to do, which was to announce him potentially stepping away from the team during the team meeting. But then Andrea, a little bit of theatrics, introduced Casper Ackerman as the new team principal. So what a twist, and what a way to end the previous episode. And we're going to continue on. What else? Anything interesting? Drivers that became team principals. There you go. Casper Ackerman's career move into the blood sport of being a team principal might have made the headlines this week. It definitely has. Connor Sport head is far from the only one to make such a move. A lot of stuff happening. Let's have a look at the social media sphere. F1 2023 is here. Been waiting months for this new racing season, part of this year. Yep, a lot of stuff happening. So Bahrain Grand Prix, I believe, first race on the calendar, if I'm not mistaken. Got an email from Casper. Congratulate everyone. It's a 2023 season. Let's show them what we are made of. Takes an army, of course, from one old driver. Another email looks like to both of us, potentially, to both Devon and Aiden. Boys, sending this to you separately away from the rest of the team. We've all got history together, which means I know how good both you are. Connor Sport a rocky start last year. New season, new start. Let's see what we can do and start pulling in some real points. Kay Henderson, our personal assistant. Dev, it's Davido's birthday. Oh, it's a dad's birthday next month. Very interesting. She's able to pick out anything we want for our dad. Also finally had a word with the builders about what happened to the car in the basement. Whoa, what? That seems to be something interesting. We'll have to find out what happens there. Email from Mark. Weekend preview. Let's have a look at the attachment. Bahrain. Very, lots of fast straights and lots of tricky, slow corners as well in the mix. Drivers' Championship, Max leading. No surprise there. Ferrari leading the Drivers' Championship. The Team Championship. Constructors' Championship, that's the word. No surprise there. Carlos was on the podium, so was Charles. So a lot happening. Charles in particular second in the Drivers' Championship. So very interesting. A lot of stuff happening. So what do we got? Mark saying, turn 10, acute left-hander, ease off the brakes. You can't afford to lose too much time there. Secondly, final corner, long start, finish straight. So you really want to carry as much speed as possible. Track widens at the exit, so you can probably take an early apex. We'll see how we go. And with all of that, let's jump into the race, see what the Bahrain Grand Prix has in store for us.
It's race day and our drivers are all out on the grid performing their final checks before we get underway here at the Bahrain International Circuit. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Fernando Alonso, Russell, Perez, Hamilton, Sainz, Stroll, Ocon, Norris, Albon, Oscar Piastri, Jackson, Gasly, Tsunoda, Bottas, Butler, Sargent, Joe, Magnussen, De Vries, and Nico Hulkenberg rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. 2023 Bahrain. We're about to get going and I hope you've enjoyed the build-up just as much as we have. The teams are ready on the grid, they're ready in the garages too, but in the commentary box alongside me, are you ready, Ant?
Of course I'm ready, Crofty. New season, new challenges for all of them out there, drivers and teams. I love this part of the year, Crofty. This is where it really kicks off and you get to showcase all that hard work you've done through the winter months. Does it pay off?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? What does the 2023 season have in store for us? We're about to find out.
Right, so here we go, 2023 season, first race in Bahrain. Checking our strategy here, I think we're just going to stick with the default strategy, medium, and try and go for the undercut and switch to softs all the way to the end of the race. Starting very much at the back of the field, Aiden's a little bit further up, and primary objective, finish in the top 5, and I believe bonus objective, finish in the top 3 and get the fastest lap. So here we go, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, holding the clutch, and it is lights out. Away we go here in Bahrain. Got a very good start, swallowed up Tsunoda immediately, had a little bit of wheel spin but gathered it up. Momentary pause because my force feedback was glitching out, but straight into the braking zone, sent it down the inside. Oh my goodness, that was an absolute send from the very back of the field. FIA noting for a slight collision there, bumping bumpers with Ocon, but straight away up to P9 as we set it down the inside on Stroll as well, and banging wheels with him as well. As here comes Ocon yet again as we give him a sign of our disapproval, but Ocon slots in behind us in P9. As we now chase Sainz. Fast forward to lap 2, latter part of the lap. A little bit untidy entry there, went a little bit wide. Sainz takes advantage of that and builds a gap on us as we set a personal best first sector and second sector. Now trying to close that gap with Sainz. Once again, gone a little bit too deep into that particular corner back there, which compromised our exit as well. And we're just trying to manage the tires here. The mediums definitely aren't firing up as quickly as the softs would, as Max Verstappen sets fast lap, and then George Russell takes it off immediately as we cross the start-finish line to start lap 3. DRS enabled now, going into the first corner, hard on the brakes, and bumped a little bit into Sainz, but I think that was fair game. As we now close the gap and get DRS for good measure. This should be very interesting as we drag ourselves up to Sainz and send it down the inside, and we make the move stick. And Mark was definitely happy with that, very much verbally approving of that move as we're up to P7 now, chasing down Alonso as we fast forward lap 4. Rinse and repeat, got DRS and the slipstream, dragging ourselves and down the inside, getting the move done. But here comes Alonso again. The move isn't quite done yet as he drag races us, but then he backs out. Not too sure about going too wide into that particular corner, so he backed out, let us have that position. Now chasing down Perez in that elusive P5, which is our main objective, and ahead of him Hamilton, and ahead of Hamilton Charles Leclerc. As we get DRS now and drag ourselves up to Perez. The Red Bulls, as much in real life, very much fast in the video game version of it as well, and a little bit better entry there, but still scrubbing off way too much speed, I feel like. But Overall, a little bit better, a bit of an improvement over the first 2 laps. Much better entry there and much better exit as well. Try not to grab too much curb as we try to get into the slipstream of Perez and slowly building a gap to Alonso, going very hard on the brakes, getting very close to Perez now onto the main straight. Trying to manage that wheel spin as we come across the line and get DRS as well for good measure as we set the fastest lap and starting off lap 5. You can see off in the distance a battle is ensuing between Leclerc and Hamilton as we send it down the inside of Perez and make the move stick somehow up to P5. Main objective has been completed as we get DRS now chasing down Hamilton. Leclerc defending for his life against the Knight of Her Majesty's Service, or Late Majesty's Service rather. Hamilton hounding Leclerc as Leclerc maintains that elusive P3, which is our bonus objective to get into the top 3 as we get very close to Hamilton and we bump into him a little bit. Whoops, my bad, but that's okay. So far, damage mitigation on this. And was thinking of a move just then, but I backed out very much to the last moment as we get DRS now. Hamilton gets DRS as well, but he is a sitting duck as we manage to drag ourselves alongside him. And we bumped wheels for a moment there as well, but I think fair game overall. Yeah, let us pass. So the FIA didn't make note of that collision, so I think we might have gotten through that without too much of an issue. Now we're chasing down Charles Leclerc in that P3, and as we fast forward to lap 6, same section of the track around the last corner, and now the critical stage of this race. We both pull into the pits. This is going to be very tricky now to see if we can get in front of Leclerc as the Ferrari pulls into the pit box. It's going to be very interesting to see how their pit goes, because we absolutely nailed the turn in and our team nails the the tire changes. We swap those mediums onto some softs. We make a little bit of ground in the pit lane, but we're still behind Leclerc now, and now we just have to try and fire up these soft tires and basically manage it towards the end of the race as we get very close into that first corner itself. Leclerc checking us up, but so far not too bad as we get DRS and we drag ourselves up, weaving about, get some tire temperature, and we send it down the inside. A little bit of a look there, and Leclerc gives us a bit of space, but we had to back out there at the last moment, a little bit reminiscent of when Alonso was challenging us along with Ocon as well at the early stages of this race. Now more than halfway through as we're getting very close to Leclerc once again and dragging ourselves up, having a look here and then just backing off at the very last second and beaching ourselves a little bit on that outside curb and getting a boatload of wheel spin as well. Very squirrely out of the exit of turn 10. And yeah, I don't know about going too wide into turn 10. It probably wouldn't have worked. Trying to just bide our time here. A little bit better entry into this particular corner, turn 11, then turn 12. Sweepy right-hander, and then into, I believe this is turn 13. You can see this gaggle of cars up ahead of us. Overall, we are showing P19, but that is not our net position, because I believe Magnussen and Sainz, they're all, and Hulkenberg and Zhou. Sorry, not Sainz, so Hulkenberg, Zhou. I believe Bottas was in there as well. They're all yet to pit as we come along the main straight. Bump tires with Magnussen a little bit, but he's pitting as we get DRS and we're just dragging ourselves up to Leclerc. There's a Red Bull coming out of the pit lane there. That is Verstappen as we send it down the inside a little bit. Going into first gear, didn't make the move stick and almost spun the car around. Managed to keep it facing in the right direction. Now we got DRS once again dragging ourselves, and we will get the move done here now down the inside. And we close the gap on these gaggle of cars in front of us as well. Hulkenberg, Zhou, Sargent holding P5 at the moment. And we will have to reclaim that spot. But this trio is not making it easy as we send it down the inside on Hulkenberg and Sargent as well. And getting the job done. A double overtake. And Mark was pretty happy with that move as we bump a little bit into Zhou. I kept bumping into people. I promise it's not on purpose, but my braking technique was all over the place. But the game is very forgiving as we get the job done as Joe as well. Dispatched up to P4 now, chasing down Stroll, who is in P3, but he is yet to pit though. So this will be very interesting to see what our net position is.
11.7 seconds.
Yep, thank you, Mark. Yeah, Stroll is ahead of us, about 11-second gap, but we are closing in, and you can see Perez, top left-hand corner, in the pits, switched over to the hard tires as we come around the final corner onto the main straight to finish off this 8th lap and to start a 9th lap as we sail past Stroll. And who is that coming out of the pit lanes? It is George Russell in P1. Somehow we have closed the gap as we get very close to the race leader, and then get the job done and get that pass on George Russell, the Maverick himself. What a turn of events. This has been absolutely super exciting for me when I was, racing this race. It was absolutely exciting, but it wasn't over. Russell is the fastest car on the grid during Bahrain, and you can see he's holding. You can see just looming there, holding station and looming there in our rear view mirrors. He is not going anywhere. He's set in blistering fast laps, and we are on lap 9. And I'm pretty much eaten into these soft tires at this point. Definitely wasn't managing them as much as we fast forward to lap 11. 2 laps passed, and we're going past the start finish line to start lap 12. And here comes George Russell in a left-hand wing mirror, and he's almost tried to go for a move there, but we managed to hold him off for a moment there, using a very little bit of our ERS just to provide a little bit more speed, because that Mercedes of Russell's has way more speed on us. As here comes Russell, oh, they are right hand side. I'm losing words here, and we go for the switchback and we bumpers with them, getting argy-bargy. FIA makes note of that collision, and definitely a bit of a cheeky move, but had muscled our way past Russell to retake P1 again. But Russell is not over. He's not done with this chase yet. He is hounding us every single corner. I have absolutely destroyed these soft tires at this point, and it is getting absolutely crazy. We managed to get gaps here, as you can see later. Lap 12, right hand side, we basically used a quarter of these soft tires at this point. 25% used up, and it's really showing in our pace as Russell is just maintaining that gap to us pretty much right up our chuff. And these long straights are not helping, particularly when there's DRS, which Russell has, as we move to the right hand side to defend. Here comes Russell on the outside. He's sticking his neck in and keeping it there, but we managed to hold him off. Russell tries to go for the switchback, but he couldn't make it stick, and we keep our P1 position. I am running out of breath and words right now. This is absolutely insane. See, you can see Russell just looming there right behind us. He's not giving up. He's absolutely hounding us. Our sector times are just absolutely atrocious at this point. The car is skidding all over. We are on the penultimate lap. I am scrubbing way too much speed into these slow corners. At certain points, we build a gap ever so slightly on Russell, but then he just brings it back on these straights. For example, you see it now as we drag ourselves out of that exit of turn 10, but Russell has DRS, and here he comes, dragging himself up, almost getting very close to us and challenging us for a pass. As you can see there, left hand side, he almost went for it, but backed out at the very last second there. And a very poor first sector and second sector as well. Not the best entry into that particular turn, and exit compromised as well. Russell still hanging in there as he comes alongside on the left hand side, as we've used almost a third of our tires here. The soft tire is basically gone. Russell almost going for a move there on the outside, challenging us into the final corner, but now across the start finish line, here comes Russell in the final lap, dragging us over to the first corner. He manages to get in front of us momentarily. We maintain the inside line now. Russell has the inside line, but we managed to get our arms out, get a little bit argy-bargy, muscle him out of that position and maintain P1. Russell's not finished yet. He's still there on the outside once again, holding station and just absolutely intimidating the heck out of us. But we're still somehow managing to keep in front of him. This is absolutely insane. I was actually sweating at this point. I was properly getting dehydrated. This was a very short race, but it was so hard to keep Russell's AI at bay. And I'm not really sure if you're meant to win this race, you know. Obviously just destroy the tires here as we come along this sort of back straight. Here comes Russell once again, dragging himself along the inside. We back out at the very last moment, try to defend, go wide and compromise our entry. Strangely enough, George didn't take advantage of that particular mistake. As we fast forward a little bit further up the track, George is still hanging in there. Here we go, coming up to the final corner, drag racing us on the outside. There is Perez and Verstappen and Leclerc, I believe, as well, looming in the background around the final corner onto the main straight. Russell still hanging in there, but it isn't enough across the finish line to finish P1.
Meanwhile, plenty of surprises in the midfield. So where do we start, Ant?
Well, I think we have to look at Sport. For me, they've been the biggest surprise so far, and Butler, he's doing fantastically well.
Thing is, though, they've got to sustain that over the course of the whole season, and that is easier said than done. Certainly one Casper Ackermann will be hoping that this season is better than his last.
Wow, that was intense.
Here comes your top three making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
Oh my goodness. That was intense. Wow.
What a start to the season, Devon. You must be happy with that performance.
Yeah, I actually forgot we were playing as Devon for a moment there. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It definitely... I feel like we got to lean into Devon's personality here, right? Well, actually, all of these responses feed into his ego. It just comes so naturally to me. I got to secure my reputation as one of the all-time greats. This season, I get to drive a car that works and I smash it. Wow, this game is really feeding into the characters. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think we'll just go. It comes so naturally to me.
Yeah, it just comes so naturally to me. I don't really think anything of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't impressive. You seem impressed. I'm sure others do too, and rightfully so. I'm just saying that it was actually pretty easy for me today.
All right.
You've
Yep.
had your share of wins in the past with teammate Ada Jackson. Crucial question is that behind you? How do you feel about him right now?
Man, this game really doesn't give you any choice but to be, exactly how Devon is, in terms of his personality. He's a douchebag. So, I guess we'll go with the one that increases our
Aiden is the greatest
reputation.
You ask him, he'll tell you. What, you think I've got an attitude problem? Aiden has got stealth ego, let me tell you. You don't know it's there, and then it emerges. He's a handful. Trust me.
Well, Sport surprised everyone by appointing Casper Ackermann as team principal this season. So how do you feel about taking orders from someone that you've got such a history with?
Well, we got to go with the one on the left. It increases our performance. I'm sure he's thankful to have me. Gosh, I hate Devon.
Terrific job, Sam. Mainly because he's got me on his team, so
Wait, what?
he can't go too far wrong. No, I'm sure he's incredibly thankful to have me as a driver.
It dropped
Well,
our
you're
performance.
embarking on a new year, but
Interesting.
what would a successful season look like for you in 2023?
Oh, that's okay. I think there's a chance for Devon to just mellow a little bit. We'll go with the bottom one, making Connor Sport the best team we can be, and hopefully this performance in Bahrain is indicative of that.
Personal mission to make a success of Connor Sport, and by the end of the season, you're all going to be saying what a wonderful team we are and how great a season we've had. And if you're doing that, then I'll consider it a job well done.
Damn, it got real aggressive towards the end there. Oh, there's Oscar. Hey, did a good job in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Although he got pretty stitched up by McLaren's strategy. No matter what they say about trying to cover off Mercedes and Lewis. Anyways, post-race, Devon starts the season in fantastic form with an impressive result for Connor Sport in Sakir. Let's advance. Uh-oh.
No race out
Hello.
there today, just in the highlights. Listen, I know we've had our run-ins and, well, last season was last season.
Devon's not listening. Okay.
Fresh start for the team. What do you say?
Huh, Jackson. Yeah, cheers, mate. Bin's over there. Yeah. Nice one.
How about the season just gone?
What's going on with Devon?
The 2023 season was completely different for Connor Sport.
How so?
Well, the car, for one. We'd ironed out the most critical issues, and it was just starting to live up to its potential.
Can we talk about what happened with Devon?
Something happened with Devon. I wonder what was going on there. He was clearly tuning out Casper. Not Casper, sorry, Aiden, but it didn't seem on purpose. Very interesting. Well, that has been a very interesting episode, very interesting race. Wow, that was very intense, holding off George Russell. I know it's just video games, just game AI, but man, definitely got our elbows out. I completely forgot we were playing as Devon for a moment there, and I was celebrating. But man, what can you do? It's at least in the grand scheme of things for Connor Sport. It's a good day at the office, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a good episode, and if you did, please do leave a like, subscribe, leave your comments down below, all that good stuff. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode and take care of yourselves. Catch you guys very soon.